Johnny, welcome
Hi,
to
Sananda.
the second edition of the Maintenance Analytics Summit here in Stockholm. It's a real pleasure having you with us and representing SKF today. So thanks for joining.
Thank you. It's a pleasure of you having me here.
So before we go on, please tell us more about yourself, your background.
Yes, so I've been working for SKF since the year of 2000 and in various positions: production, maintenance, business development, quality and sales. Currently, I'm responsible for how we work with manufacturing reliability on a global scale for the SKF as such.
From gut feeling to fact-based decisions. This was the title of your presentation today on the Applied Data-Driven Maintenance stage, which engaged in a nice discussion. So if you don't mind, just a short recap of what was actually about.
Yeah, I did a recap from where I worked as the maintenance manager. And this was before digitalization had come as far as we are already. And where we started and the way we worked was very much based on experience and gut feeling. And how we slowly, step by step, by using simple tools, going from manual electrical inspections to using thermography cameras, starting to use shaft alignment tool, electronic belt alignment, belt tension tool. And by doing that, we started to capture data of our everyday work. And slowly, we reduced the need of the gut feeling and could be more and more fact-based. Then adding on sensorization and digitalization on top of that. So it's like we don't start with zero, we start with what we have and what we do on an everyday base, and then we develop from that.
But okay, management side now. The cost of implementing these predictive maintenance platforms and activities, investments are costly. So you need to give the management like a good reason for them to buy it. So are these benefits of applying predictive maintenance activities greater than its cost?
Yes, for sure. If you start by what you ask, looking at from a management or an owner perspective, if you can reduce the variation in your production, creating a more reliable production, then you can reduce the bullwhip effect downstreams in your production, reducing work in progress, reducing buffers. Machines being more reliable produces less rework and scraps. You don't have to start as much material. You need to start what you also want to have finished. By doing that, reducing the variation, creating a reliable production, you can also improve the customer delivery. So you know when you start something that you're able to deliver it when the customer wants. This in total reduces the total cost of ownership because you will have less material in the flow. Looking at it from an employee perspective, you go from a situation where the machine is controlling you almost. It calls for you when it breaks down, to us being in control, having a planned environment. We know up front what we need to do. We can plan our days, we can structure them in a much better way. We don't have to stress that much. Going away from maintenance Tarzan and overtime heroes to work in a very structured way. Going from a EHS perspective, most companies today are working with CSR. Looking at it has a minimal impact on the environment, or in best case, a positive impact. Having machine breaking down, the cost of spare parts is one aspect, but also these spares has to be produced. When they are being produced, it has a negative impact on the environment. The old spares we need to recycle, which also has an impact on the environment. So if we have machines being more reliable and we have more data, so when it breaks down, we don't only change the component, we change to a better component. So we are not recycling, we're upcycling. So from many different perspectives, it has a huge value.
Okay, Johnny, today and yesterday, so many times was machine learning like emphasized and artificial intelligence, more like a broader term. And these software tools, these technological inventions are producing more and massive amounts of data from the machines. does this mean that we are moving towards an AI and autonomous maintenance adoption and implementation? And considering these rapid developments, and what are the key pitfalls to avoid if we want to implement, let's say, if our final goal is AI and autonomous maintenance?
I think what is hindering or slowing us down, I think we don't spend enough time to get the people on board, our teams, our managers, because it will require a different way of working. And getting more intelligence inside the machines, getting more data, meaning we will be able to predict and prescript upfront. And doing that, you will have less people upfront working perhaps at the machine, but you might have more people working with analytics, process development, and improving the situation. So I think it will have a huge impact, and I think the organizational setup as we have today might have to adjust slightly to meet this. We are very often organized in a functional way still.
This is actually in line with my next questions. In order for us to do this, so how would you involve and practically change the mindset of these teams of technicians, of people that you have, to migrate from corrective to, let's say, predictive, not to mention prescriptive, considering in most cases that they are not even used to work with these high amounts of data?
Yeah. I think as
all of them in one place, right?
Yeah, I think as I started saying, you start with what we have. So if we have a lot of manual inspections, as I started to say with thermography, start by using thermography cameras. When you're doing a motor change and you have a shaft, start to use digital shaft alignment tool. Start, with the small things. And I think many of them are prepared. Many of our technicians, they have apps for their homes. They have remote control alarms. They can see the temperature in their house with apps. They are using technology, but to some extent, when they come to work, we don't expect them to be mature enough. I think they are. It's just how we introduces them to this, and that we also get management on board, and that we don't perhaps, as a big step, just try to leapfrog and we want to go from 0 to 100. Start with what today. Start to improve how you work today. How do you report your maintenance work today? Is it paper and pen or is it electronic? Or do you use iPads for that today, or do you use paper and pen? Do you use speak recognition when you report back instead of writing? Small things.
Mm-hmm. So it's ironic that apart from having this many useful applied cases, these many companies that are doing great, that are improving, we still have a nice number of companies that are still in the very beginning levels of implementing these techniques. So from a perspective of someone who does this with years and a company which is well established in this field, what would your suggestions be to those companies that are starting with this journey?
I think it's
how to start, what to prioritize.
I think, again, start with where you are and start to see how you can slowly improve that. Try to involve the team as much as possible. Perhaps try to create some area where you go the full length, going sensorizing equipment, going directly online, in order to also to show and to give them a case study or an example of how it could look like. Because then you can work with closing this gap. So here we are today, but we see that this is possible. Okay, what is the first step from where we are with the existing equipment? What would be the logical first step? What is our problems today? What is our challenges? And then build upon that, step by step. But you need to involve the team, because the team is what will make it happen.
One last question, Johnny, your comments about the near future. It's changing, but...
I think I heard somebody say, this is coming and it's coming quick. I would say it's here and it's been here for years. But it's just now that we start to realize it. I mean, SKF have been offered condition monitoring for tens of years. Yes. It's that the quality of the sensors, the quality of the data is increasing rapidly. The cost is going down. So I would say it's already here. and you need to recognize it. I don't see it that you should consider if you should start or not. It's here. You better start. Either you develop in this direction, or your competitive advantage will disappear.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you very much, Johnny. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for being with us in this conference and for conducting this interview.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.